Welcome to Metaphysical Soul Speak. I'm your host, Alanna Fox Starks. Hey guys, I'm getting this out a little late because, there goes my reputation. I usually get it in before midnight California time, and it looks like it'll be in before 1 a.m. California time, hopefully. I spent the last 90 minutes in a coughing fit. Unbelievable. I'm still just trying to get through it. So, my apologies. When we get back on the fall back timeline, when the time changes again, I will get this out by midnight California time every night. Took me a while to remember that even happened, so I think I was late several nights in a row accidentally. So I wanted to tell you guys a story tonight that you may be aware of. Ariana Grande. God bless her. Please, please send her love and light. She's so sweet. She's so young. She's 25 years old. She's the youngest person at the very famous concert of artists known as Coachella. And she's had a hell of a year. In the past year, one of her shows last May had a terrorist bombing or bomb threat. I don't know if it was an actual bombing or the threat. I think it might have been bombed. So she couldn't sing. And then about a month later, her boyfriend, long-term boyfriend, had broke up with her, and that just broke her heart and made her all kinds of crazy, and not crazy, but just, how it is with breakups. And a month later, he died as a result of that. I don't know if he killed himself. I don't know what happened. But then she got back, back into the groove of things and had a boyfriend, and within 6 months or something, they were engaged to be married, and then he dumped her that following September. And that's in 1 year she went through all this, just really intense emotional stuff. And she's cranking out at least one new song a month. She's really, really working hard on her career. She's here to help humanity. She's a true light worker because she's using her, talent to create more light in the world. So she's this huge fan of Jim Carrey, and she's been mentioning him because she's been putting out tweets saying that she wishes she could give, but she's all out of energy. She can't give anymore, and she's hit a wall, and she's depressed. And on her Instagram page, she had tweeted, had Instagrammed, I don't know what they call it. Anyway, she'd posted, that's it, post. She posted a picture of a brain with PTSD and a picture of a normal brain, and then posted a scan of her own brain, and it looked identical to the PTSD brain. So she's still on stage, she's still out there, she's still creating and giving to the world, but she has serious PTSD. So I'm asking for you guys, if you have an inclination in your hearts to do so, just send her love, send her light. Maybe buy one of her songs, send her healing energy, pray for her, whatever you're so inclined to do, just please go help her. She's out there in the public eye every single day, and she's under scrutiny. And just in Coachella in the past few days, she was entering the stage, and people started throwing lemon slices at her, really hard at her chest, while she's trying to get on stage. And someone had erroneously had the idea that she, with her album, made more money than Beyonce did with her Lemonade album. And they're yeah, but Beyonce is a goddess, and she's, whatever. But it's not true. They made the same amount of money. They've got a similar contract with the same record label. And no one should be ever hurting an artist or an actor for how much they get paid, because it's up to their agent. You know, if a veteran actor is only making $1 million on the set and a younger actor is making $10 million, it means he has a better freaking manager or a better agent. You know, blame the agents, blame the directors for agreeing to this. Don't blame the actors. Like, you know, don't be angry at someone who might be making more money. That's so stupid. Anyway, I know none of you guys are doing this, but so this happened to her on stage just a few days ago. People are like throwing lemon slices at her as a commentary of Beyonce's. It's so stupid. It's just so stupid. But I wanted to tell you that's the setup, and I wanted to tell it to you because Jim Carrey had responded to her. She had, you know, like tweeted at him, but they don't know each other, I don't think. Anyway, maybe they do, but Ariana Grande grew up that was her idol. She loved Jim Carrey. When she's in 4th grade, before she was famous, that was like her email was like Jim Carrey fan or Jim Carrey lover 42 or something. You know, so he has been an inspiration for her. And so he writes to her, I read your lovely mention of me and things I've said about depression. A brilliant teacher and friend, Jeff Foster, was OG on the deep rest concept. I admire your openness. I wish you freedom and peace. I feel blessed to have such a gifted admirer. Happy Easter. Anyway, he included something that I feel will be helpful to each and every one of you, because at any given time we, you know, can possibly feel sad or even depressed. And this thing was so touching. I literally tweeted to Jim Carrey, and I said that I'm going to read it on my show tonight. And I am a man of my word, even though I'm not a man. But I have integrity. You know, when you say you're going to do something, you must do it. So I'm going to do it. This is a little quote that he included to Ariana Grande from Jeff Foster, who is a teacher and, from the sounds of it, a healer. I don't know much about him, but I'm going to look into him now because I'm so excited by what this guy came up with. He says, the word depressed can be spoken as deep rest. We can choose to view depression not as a mental illness, but as a state of deep rest, a spiritual exhaustion that we enter into when we are depressed or pressed down by the weight of the false self, the mask, the mind-made story of quote-unquote me. We long to stop pretending and express our raw truth, to give voice to our secret loneliness, our shame, our broken hearts, boredom, and brilliant rage. Depression's call to truth needs to be listened to and understood, not analyzed or medicated away. There is no shame in your exhaustion. We are all exhausted, my love. Slow down today. Allow yourself to rest deeply and weep and breathe and begin again now. I say our depression is holy. It contains the seeds of new life. So, yeah, there you have it. Sorry, just tears, you know, it's just so sweet. So Ariana Grande responded, thank you so much for your kindness, big heart. I don't think you understand how much I adore you or what you mean to me. Thank you for taking the time to share this with me. You are such an inspiration. I can't wait to tattoo this tweet to my forehead. Sending you lots of love and all things happy. So I don't know. I just think that's very sweet. You know, two people who are both in the entertainment industry, and even though you would think that everybody knows everybody, not everybody does know everybody, even if they're both on kind of the same level of famousness. You know, and I've known famous people who, when they meet other famous people, they're like, oh my God, you're not gonna believe who I met. And it's like, well, maybe they're at home saying the same thing about you because you're pretty fabulous yourself, you know? It's like, oh yeah, I never thought about that. I forgot I was famous. I'm just me. You know, famous people don't think of themselves as, oh, I'm so famous and you're not. You know, famous people don't think of themselves that way. Famous people think of themselves as famous, as normal people who happen to have a really awesome career, you know, or whatever. I can't speak for all famous people, but only the ones that I've met. Famous people in, well, various fields. I've met people who became billionaires doing stage hypnosis in Las Vegas. You know, they're famous, but they're not on TV constantly, you know, even though they might have been. You know, and people that used to be famous and aren't really famous that much anymore, you know. Anyway, I just, I was really touched by that. I just thought, gosh, that's so, it was inspirational for me to see that. And then plus Jeff Foster, my God, I'm so happy to suddenly know about this brand new light in the world I didn't know. He's not brand new to the world, he's brand new to me, brand new to my world, Alanna world. But I'm really happy about this. I wanted to bring this information to you. Maybe you can start looking into Jeff Foster now, right? I mean, maybe Jim Carrey and Ariana Grande's, you know, public love fest will manifest a greater understanding of ourselves by pointing our minds and hearts towards a man who's yet another light worker in the world. It's very possible. I love how one thing leads to another, leads to another. I just think that's, I mean, it's pretty much, I just described life for everybody, right? But I love how that happens. I love how things manifest sometimes like that. It was very impressive for me to see that. All right. Let's see here. Apparently he's famous. I mean, I tried to find the quote on my other phone, and it was like, here's a list of 75 Jeff Foster quotes. I'm like, this guy's famous? I don't know. I haven't been in the States in years, so I barely pay attention to the pop culture or whatever. All right. Well, the scientists are back at the Schumann Resonance Lab. Thank God. So, disclosurenews.it today, they write 7 a.m. UTC time. After the calm day of yesterday, today we see a moderate activity. The amplitude of the frequency of the Schumann resonance has reached 40 hertz at 3 UTC, remaining at that level for over an hour, or about an hour, sorry. And then at 17, their evening report, 17 o'clock UTC time. After the strong peak reported before, the amplitude slowly subsided to normal values. So, apparently, the day they didn't write anything, yesterday, nothing really happened. All right, well, no news is good news, right? I don't know with this, maybe not, maybe, I don't know. But today was 40, and then it kind of slowly subsided, maybe over an hour or more. That's okay. You know, it gives us a little bit of a boost, or maybe it was that we boosted ourselves and it was reflected in the Schumann resonance. No one's really sure exactly what this is or how it works or why. It has been known, you know, documented by scientists that our hearts are, well, first of all, your heart puts out a rhythmic beat that is unique. It's like a thumbprint. Everyone's is different. And it resonates about 100 feet in every direction in a circle around you. So people can feel what you're feeling. And the way that your heart beats, or the rhythm that it puts out, the frequency hertz, changes according to your mood. If you're angry, everyone in a 100-foot radius knows it. On some level, they know it. They feel it. They sense it like a wild animal. Because we're all wild animals. We just don't think of us as wild animals. We live in houses. How could we be wild? Some of us are wilder than others. But also the heart has neurons in it. They call it the brain in your heart. There's more signals being sent from your heart to your brain than from your brain to your heart. So it seems that, if you follow your heart, you're never going to go wrong. But our hearts amplified affect the ionosphere. Scientists have discovered that as well. The ionosphere surrounds the planet. It's like the upper atmosphere. Above that is the noosphere. That's a concept that Jose Arguelles, I think, either came up with. I don't think he came up with, but he spoke about it at length. The noosphere. You put a lot of time and art and lovely, beautiful joy, lightworker energy into the noosphere, you're going to transform the planet. And that's what we are all doing right now, aren't we? So let me find out real quick. I forgot to ask before. So I like to be connected to my higher self and to God and Goddess. Okay, guys, hey, am I connected? Yay. Doing muscle testing, and then I get an answer yes or no. So yes, I am. So are we having any ascension symptoms? Are we above 80? Are we above 90? Are we above 95? Are we below 95? Yes. Are we below 94? Are we below 92? Are we above 92 or 93? We are at 93 on the Ascension Scale today. 93. So, okay, good. Our symptoms are a little bit less. I did notice my tinnitus is a little bit less. I'm not hearing intense concepts and falling asleep like I did yesterday. I don't know if I mentioned it, but all day yesterday I listened to Lisa Transcendence Brown videos, and one was 2 hours long, and I kept falling asleep, and then I'd wake up an hour later and have to backtrack an hour. I mean, her stuff is so intense that it activates me, just turns on those codons in my DNA and just like crazy, and just it's like I'm bombarded by her light. She's like a radiant sun. She's an early way shower, and I love that about her. It's funny that I even knew about the Jim Carrey thing because I don't watch TV. I don't live in the United States. I do look at my news on YouTube. I get the funny news from the top 3, Comedy Central comedians. Trevor Noah, for example. But, I don't really pay attention except, I like Skywatch News, and I have just a couple feeds that will tell me the news of like bizarre stuff or paranormal or funny, weird stuff. But I only added Jim Carrey or followed him because of all of his deep spiritual revelations that came out of his own depression. And he is a light worker. He's a Heyoka. Whether he's aware of it or not, he is a Heyoka shaman, and he is an amazing Heyoka. He points out our most intensely things we're afraid of or that we don't want to look at in society. And he takes these roles, and I'm sure he adds a lot of himself to them, and, especially in his early years. And he's a master manifester. And those are 2 kinds of light workers. And we're going to get into talking about light workers tonight, all the different kinds of light workers that there are. And whether he's aware of it or not, he's a light worker in the way that he went into this to entertain us, to raise people's vibrations through joy, mirth, laughing. And he now has become a teacher because he's a spiritual teacher. He's not only using his acting, but his art to increase the vibration of the planet. He's making fun of politicians lately, and almost every day he's putting out a brand new piece of art. He is phenomenal. His artwork is really good and uniquely him. It's just uniquely him. But he's also a master manifester. When he was living in the Midwest, He was just like the class clown, cut up. I think his teachers told him he wasn't going to amount to anything, and he just basically said F you, to his teachers. I don't think he said it, but I think he thought it, and he told his parents he's going to go to California and become a actor and just do comedy movies. That's his deal. And he wrote himself a check when he first started for $1 million. And he always kept that with him, and he looked at it every day because he knew that one day he's going to be able to cash the check. And he did it. I forgot how many years it took, like just a couple years. But that's a form of light worker too. He's got several of these. So I wanted to read the depression thing because it was amazing. And then when I decided to do the light worker thing, I'm like, oh wow, it just so ties. I love how things tie together. Another thing that I forgot to mention for several days that I knew about this from the beginning was millions and millions of bees one day just decided randomly to live in the Cathedral Notre Dame in Paris. And during the fire, they're okay, they're fine. They probably left for the day and then came back when the fire was out. But they're fine. They're 100%. Their hives were untouched. That was a miracle that occurred during that. So yeah, we've been having all this negative news related to churches around the world, and I wanted to give you some good news for a change. So bees are special. We might do a special on bees. In fact, I probably will. I will probably do a show on bees and talk about what they're related to and what goddess and all that. Bees are very sweet creatures and intelligent. So wanted to tell you guys that. All right, after the break, we're going to come back and I am going to give you a list of the types of light workers that there are. You most likely, if you've ever even looked this up, you've seen that there are about 30 or 40 videos of the exact same freaking information. They'll say there's 11 or 12. If it's 11, it's a specific list from one specific person that has been copied over and over and over again in robotic voices on various channels. And none of them give credit to the original person, which just, I hate plagiarism so bad. And then there's another person that decided to come up with the same list, identical word per word, and then added one word at the end, and then came up with their own explanation at the end, and then a bunch of people copied that. So as far as I know, there's only 2 lists out there, and they're like the exact same list. And the list didn't make sense to me, and I was channeling, having a conversation with God and going, okay, I think I need to do a show on this, and God said, yeah, this is the day to do it. But the list isn't correct. It wasn't 100%. And I'm an INTJ, so I kind of put things together in a new and unique and different way. So I'm hoping that I came up with something that's a little bit more coherent, and I came up with 21 types of light workers. So the list of 11 was like almost like the same thing again and again. And then one thing, it's like, well, there's this one special kind. Oh, but that's everybody. But then they're more better at it than the rest of us. It's like, pfft. It's like if a light worker did hopscotch and somebody was always winning the money of all the other girls, does that make them the light worker and no one else? I don't know. It's dumb. It's all the same. So some of these just didn't make sense. So when we come back, hopefully my list will make more sense for you. And I do have 21. God said it's an exhaustive list. It's done. But if we come up with something later, we'll come back and tell you. So stick around. I'll be right back. Hey, you. Have you ever thought about having your own podcast like me? Was it even a New Year's resolution? For me, it sure was. But as I've been looking into this for months, I was daunted. There's so many questions I had. When I was trying to get this off the ground, I was wondering, how do I record the episode? How do I get it across all the platforms? How do I get my podcast on Apple Podcasts when I don't even have an iPhone? How do I get it onto Spotify and all the other places? How do I get people to listen? And how do I make money from my podcast? How do I edit it? Oh my God, I had all these questions, and I was so confused until I discovered the simple answer is Anchor. Anchor is a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing your podcast. Best of all, it's 100% free, and it is ridiculously easy to use. And now Anchor can match you with great sponsors too, so you can get paid to podcast. All you need to do is record it. You don't have to go out and look for people to advertise on your show. They help you. So basically what I like about podcasting is I don't have to have a video of myself. You don't know if my hair is dirty or if I'm still in my pajamas or even if I'm wearing makeup. Haha. And it's so easy. I could do this from the comfort of my own home in my living room using this amazing app right from my cell phone. So easy, right? So if you've always wanted to start your own podcast and make money, by the way, doing it, please go to anchor.fm/start. That is anchor.fm/start to join me and the diverse community of podcasters that are already using Anchor. Again, that's anchor.fm/start. I can't wait to hear your podcast, and I can't wait to favorite you. Woohoo! Let's be broadcast podcast buddies. I'll see you there. What is a light worker? All right, a light worker is anybody who came to the planet with the sole purpose of lifting humanity up in some way. That's pretty much all I could come up with. It's just somebody who, with their joy, happiness, beauty, love, gratitude, whatever it is, their extra oomph. Not just in their walk away. I'm just kidding. It's just their little bit of that light. When you're in their presence, light bulbs above your head go off. You get ideas. You see possibilities you didn't see before. You feel better in their presence. Yeah? So it's very possible that you're a light worker and you just didn't know it. So we're going to go over this list I created, but I wanted to go over a quick little list about all light workers. And yes, they're generalizations, but I think you'll agree when you hear them that they're probably true. All light workers came to transform the planet in some way, always in a positive way, but they all came with something in mind that would help transform us in a positive way. They came here to help humanity or the world, the planet literally itself, or other kingdoms, plant kingdoms, animal kingdoms, even mineral kingdoms, or fairy kingdoms, anything even seen or unseen. They came here to help. They are either, now all of the types we could go over can be either here to show others by their example, or they're here to teach others how to do what they do, or they're here to hold the energy of what it is that they do and just hold that energy on the planet so that it lifts the planet automatically by holding that energy, or directing the energy or transferring it in a new way to lift and transform the planet. Now, if you are a light worker, you can be one, or you could be more, or it could be most, or just several. Probably you're not every single one, but you might have almost all of them. It's possible. Or maybe throughout your life you've had several careers, and it turns out maybe you kind of are all of them. You know, you might be like 80%. Easy. But even if you're one of them, it does not make you less than people that have 4 or 5 of these. Everybody is equally important. We're all pieces of a puzzle, you know, and no puzzle is complete without all the pieces. Your soul could be any age. You might be a soul that's 10,000 years or 100,000 years old. You might be 1,000,000 years old if you've been traipsing around all the galaxies. Or you might be a brand new baby soul and still be a light worker. You can... oh, excuse me. Oh, my God. My body just literally lifted up off my bed and like a half inch, not much, like not complete lift off, but every time I connect to all of my guides and I put myself in that spiritual vortex, every time I do that, I'm already doing dual connection, but when I doubly reinforce it, it's like I'm lifting up. I feel like I'm going to start flying around the room one day. If you ever hear me screaming on the podcast, I'm probably flying around the room, and it finally happened. Maybe I need to get a broom. Anyway, you can be, as a light worker, from any previous planet. You know, so you could be a long-time earther and only an earthling. You could be a star seed. Maybe you've been living on another planet and reincarnating there, and then you decided this time only to come here. Or you might be a mystical traveler who's somebody who might have started on Earth, but then they've also lived in other realms and on other planets and in other dimensions or galaxies or universes. It's possible. I am a mystic traveler. Right now I've got at least 2 lives on other planets going at the same time as this one in parallel universes. And I've gone and visited myself in those and inhabited those bodies. Since I've been in this apartment specifically, which is very weird. Maybe this apartment is magical. Anyway, a light worker can be an angel incarnate. It could be like an earth angel person who came and wants to act as an angel, or someone who literally was an angel and fell to the planet to help God after the other ones fell to the planet to go against God. So you can actually be an angel incarnate and not know. Angels incarnate become human, and they don't really realize their angel origins until one day they do. You are of the light 100% when you're a light worker. You're not a middle pather. You're not a gray one that is walking between the path of light and dark. You are 100% of the light if you're a light worker. Now, middle pathers can turn to the light and become a light worker, but they have to make that full commitment first. You cannot be a dark lighter and be a light worker, obviously. You cannot be an evil one and try to turn your game around at the last minute. And, you know, usually dark pathers never change anyway, because that's what they chose from the beginning for this schematic. Doesn't make them bad from a higher perspective. It just makes them dark, you know. That's what they decided to be. And they were brave because they decided to be that so that we can become better. They chose to sacrifice themselves in the most darkest of ways, knowing that at the end of the schematic, they don't keep their personality, they don't keep their personal histories. They literally get reabsorbed back into the head of God. And they chose that so that the rest of us could ascend eventually. over millennia. And now that we're here, it's pretty exciting, yeah? Now, you could be a sociopath and be a light worker, you know, if you have like sociopathic tendencies. But especially if like something went wrong and you became mentally ill and then you became that, you still might have had the purpose to become a light worker. But if you are definitely a psychopath or a narcissist and you're here for yourself, you're not a light worker. Now, a little bit later, I'm going to tell you that actors are light workers because they came here to help humanity. But some cases, and I'm not going to say who, but there's one specific person in my mind that publicly lied, has been proven to be a public liar, acting that she was a victim. See, that's what narcissists do. That's one of the things they do. That's one type of narcissist. When you go back to my narcissist discussions back in February, every Wednesday I did something about relationships, and I talked about this at length. And if you're in it for yourself, I'm in it to win it for me, you know, those are the people that are dark. They're evil. They did not come here to help humanity or lift them up. In fact, her very story and her victimhood and, you know, just lying so, like, involving so many people to help her in the lie, roping them in with her narcissistic personality disorder is so evil. She's mentally ill, but she's just very evil. She'll never change because she thinks she's great. She doesn't think she has to change. Unfortunate. But anyway, so she just like made herself America's sweetheart in this one forum, you know, this one section of, she like jumped on a bandwagon. It was already going there. And then everybody was like, oh, poor her. She's so, you know, and then it turns out she's a freaking liar. You know, she was speaking out against somebody in particular who finally came out and said, enough is enough, and none of this is true, and I could prove it. And he brought forth like 4,000 documents, and it was like, hello. Anyway, so I'm not going to say in all cases all actors are light workers, but a lot of them are, and you're going to know who they are when you start thinking about this, and then you watch movies. You're going to know, like, Shirley MacLaine, she's a light worker. I don't know, Jim Carrey, obviously, he's a light worker. Robin Williams, I love him dearly, he was a light worker. You know, I mean, he could turn your whole day around just with a smile. You know what I'm saying? People like that, people that just, they look a certain way or they smile and you just see the integrity in their love and their heart, you know? People that are actors that, for example, Johnny Depp would go to children's hospitals and hug cancer patients and change their whole day around. And I think that this has been once or twice I've seen clips on the internet of this, but I have a feeling he does this probably 10 times for every video you see, you know. I have a feeling he's done this a lot. You know, that's a light worker. He's a light worker. He's got a pure heart. In those moments when he does that, he's being a true light worker. And also his acting is uplifting as well, isn't it? For the most part. I mean, you know, I've seen him some crazy roles. I'm like, oh, I don't know, it's a little creepy, but he's also really good. He's so good. He's such a good actor. But there's certain roles that he's played where you just go, oh my God, he's so, he took this role and he's uplifting humanity, you know, with his frivolity or his you know, like even if it's a serious role, he'll do one or two things that are hilarious that lifts your mood and he does characters that pull you 100% out of your world. That's a light worker. You know, somebody who can transform themselves almost to the point of beyond recognition. you don't, like there's certain actors you go and you're just like, oh, well, that's Andie MacDowell. In this moment, oh, that's so Andie MacDowell. Oh, I know she's playing another character, but God, that's just Andie MacDowell. She's constantly her. In every role, she's only herself, it seems. It's not that she's not a good actor. She plays the roles okay, but I'm never aware that it's not her. But there's some people that just pull you 100% into the world they've created as that role. And you don't even realize it's them until you go out and go, wait a minute, that was what? Like Johnny Depp did that to me, probably the first 20 movies of his I saw. I'd come out of the theater going, which one is him again? I'd be so absorbed into the story that I didn't go, oh, well, that's definitely, I didn't think that at all, not ever. He's just a shining example. I mean, I think that when he decides to retire, he deserves a Lifetime Achievement Award. He's never won once at the Academy, and I don't know why. Because his acting is just superb. It's sublime. It's beyond, But there's a lot of actors, they just seem flat, and they're just themselves. But like Will Smith, it's Will Smith, but he always lifts you up every stinking time, and you get so wrapped up in how skilled he is at his acting. It's only until he says, hell no, that you go, classic Will Smith. It's still hilarious, and he has a different form of that, and he brings you up and lifts you up out of it. So there are people that do specific professions like acting, along with dancing and singing and all that they really they transform your life, even if it's for 5 minutes while they're ice skating and you're like, oh my God. Like there's an ice skater, she can do a backflip. She does backflips on skates. It was illegal, and she started doing this, and she got in trouble the first time, but that became her signature move. And every time I see that, I'm just like, oh, and I can't like breathe. I'm just so shocked. My son and I watched it together. It was like for 2 minutes we couldn't breathe. We're like, ah! Like she's so like, it just pulls you out of yourself. And in that moment when you're pulled out of yourself and you don't think about, there's no problems, you don't feel tired, your body doesn't ache, your mind isn't racing a million miles a minute, you're just like, ah! And it just shocks you. And you're just like, wow. Like really good singing. Boyle, what's her name? Evelyn Boyle, who sang, and she just looks like a little frumpy old housewife, comes out on stage, you're just like, just get it over with already. And she belts out this song, and it makes your heart stop, and you almost hear the angel choir singing behind her. She's so good. She's just so good. And there's certain moments, when you just see that, and you're like, whoa. There was a story in Korea of a singer who was like that. He's like, well, I'm homeless and I don't know. Someone encouraged me to sing and I don't know. And he's just like not really up on himself at all. And he sang and everyone in the audience was crying, just like, oh shit, he's so good. He's a light worker. And his story is inspirational on purpose. Maybe not from his perspective now, but from his higher self, from his higher soul. He came here as a light worker to transform how you see homeless people and to transform your life in the moments in which he's singing. He didn't do it for himself. He didn't do it from a narcissistic personality disorder, frame of mind. Hey, maybe I have a good voice. Someone encouraged me to sing, and maybe I might help you guys. Maybe I'll make you happy in this moment. You know what I mean? So all religions or atheists can hold light workers. All light workers are light workers regardless of their religion. They might not have a religion at all. They might not even believe in God, but they can still be a light worker if they came here with the sole and exclusive purpose of helping other people. The Most Hated Woman in America, I just watched this movie last night. about Madeline Murray O'Hare. Is that her name? Anyway, she was kind of a crank, kind of a curmudgeon, you know. She's one of those really tough sort of characters, but I respect the hell out of her. I mean, I believe in God 100%. I know God's real, but she decided to come here as an atheist and to keep prayer out of public school, and I agree with that. Prayer should not be in public school, because whose prayer? What religion? You know, you're disenfranchising all the Jews, all the witches, you know, or, you know, the pagans, you know, kids that come from pagan backgrounds, the atheists. You know, you can't just say it's a non-denominational. Yeah, it's definitely denominational. If you're going to mention Jesus, it's going to be a denominational thing. You know, not everyone believes in Jesus. Sorry. I do. I love him. He's my big brother. I'm not a Christian, though. Neither was he. But, you know, so I just feel like it should be kept out. You know, if your parents want you to be spiritual, they're going to raise you that way. You know, if you want your kids spiritual, raise them that way at home. Unless they go to a special school that is religious in nature, you know, and there's nothing wrong with that. You know, but so anyway, but she was a light worker, even though, you know, she did some bad things and she ended up being murdered at the end, actually. Sorry for the spoiler alert, but this is history. You could look it up, you know, in the newspapers across the United States. In the 90s, she was actually disappeared and then was murdered, found dead. But, because she wasn't a nice person. She really was a horrible person when it came to her interpersonal relationships. She didn't know how to be a good friend, but she did know how to raise people's awareness in the fact that not everyone believes the same as you. She jump-started people out of their frame of reference. And she fought adamantly against sexism, racism, you know, people focusing on gender. You know, she was a feminist and she was an atheist, and she felt like she needed to defend the Constitution of the United States. So that was the way. She was more like a light warrior, you know. But on a personal level, she was kind of a bitch, just to be honest, you know. I respect the hell out of her, though. I mean, she was kind of, you know, no one wanted to hang out with her. But everyone believed in her cause, because her cause was a higher cause than herself. And I believe that all light workers come here for a higher cause than themselves. So with all that, that's my huge introduction. I'm going to get into the list. I have 21 types of light workers. All right, so number one is very, very obvious. I'm going to say it is the healers. And I'm not going to say that one type is better than the other. They're all equal, but like I said before, pieces of the puzzle. So this is just the way in which I was thinking and hearing God telling me the order in which I heard them from him. And so, okay, healers. Now, a healer could be an herbalist, a massage therapist, hypnotherapist. And a healer is somebody who works with people, animals, or the earth itself. They don't have to work in an office and see clients. They could actually be having the earth itself as its client, as their client. So, I mean, for me, my clients have been people, and they have been animals, and it has been the actual earth itself. Right now I'm working with the earth itself as a healer. So it doesn't have to only be like, you know, if you're a massage therapist or light worker, you know what I mean? Like, you could be a shaman working with the energies of Gaia herself, which I am, and I'm working with the local energies, like the local elementals. And I'm just sending them love and healing light. And also I'm releasing junk left behind from the Spanish conquistadors and the Incans taking over, because this is not original Incan territory where I live. So, for example, it's just an example. Anyway, healers can be traditional, new age, or conventional healers. So by traditional, I mean like shamans, people that are medicine men in tribal societies, or traditional as in hereditary witches or folk magicians who help to, like as midwives, who act as midwives and help in villages around the world, and that still goes on. So also they could be New Age healers, people do Reiki, and also conventional healers, conventional, like allopathic or naturopathic medicine. So doctors, surgeons, if they came here to serve themselves and make a lot of money, then that's not a light worker. But if they came here to help others and they have a humble heart and integrity, that's a light worker, doctor. But I mean, my doctor in Chico, Dr. Lee, he was a light worker. He was so sweet. He's such a loving, darling human being that just, he made me feel better just to see his smile. You know what I mean? I had a mad crush for him too, by the way. He was married and had kids, so it was not like I was going to try to date him or something, but there was something about his love that just exuded from his heart. When you walk in, you're just like, he was such a good man, such a good man. And that made him a light worker in my book. I had a naturopathic doctor there too, and he was a light worker. He was a light warrior in a lot of ways, and I loved that. So people that deal with healing people with illness or broken bones, stuff like that, or, people who literally heal physical, emotional, mental, or spiritual levels. Excuse me. Now, the second light worker that we have is grid workers. Now, I've seen on the two famous lists on the internet, they're going around and around and around, everyone claiming it is their own work, which is insane. It's weird too, because with this thing, that's what they're doing. But with all the other things, please go see Susan, or please go see Bart, or whoever, go see Barry's website. Like everybody is like, well, go see, this is what I got from that person, except for this list of light workers. Everyone seems to be wanting to take credit for themselves. It's very weird. Some of the stuff does come from these lists, but I asked God and I double checked to see if it's true. So, now I don't even remember this woman's name, and I just defended her on one website too, but you can see those lists. There's 11 and 12, and anyway, but grid workers are on those lists. So is healer, but grid workers usually is coupled with gatekeepers, and there's something about the word gatekeeper that for me, I feel like it's fake. It's not a real thing. Like a gate, when you think of an actual gate, to me, it's no different than a wall. It's just a wall that can open if it's unlocked. And the only reason you would have a gate is to keep somebody in and to keep somebody out. And it doesn't feel energetically correct to me. I asked God about it, and God said, no, there's not really any such thing. Someone made it up, and then people jump on the bandwagon, I'm a gatekeeper, ho, 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 And they might be something, but the only way that they could see themselves is as a gatekeeper, but they're actually something else. I'm not saying they're not what they say, but I'm saying they're probably not a gatekeeper. There's not a little gate, I don't know. It's just something about that didn't seem or feel right to me. I could be wrong, and if you have a different explanation of what the gate is, I guess it's other dimensions, but we're all multidimensional, so no one person has the key to it, and the rest of us have to wait outside until they fumble through their purse for it. It doesn't make sense to me, and so we're not putting the word gatekeeper in my list. Only the word grid worker. Now, a grid worker is somebody who, they either break up the old energy patterns, which are grid overlays on the planet. Once they're made aware of it, I was made aware of the quote-unquote Jesus Christ grid, which is like the severely judgmental, angry, hate-filled, venom-filled Christians in the United States and around the world who just judge every single person in the whole wide world for not being them. You're definitely going to go to hell if you're not a Christian. It's like, good, I'll hang out in hell with Jesus, you know, because guess what? Hello, he himself wasn't even a Christian. So, I mean, so Jesus himself came to me, and he's the one that did the air quotes because he knows I relate to that. And he said, I need you to help me break down the Jesus Christ created. And this was like in 2005 or something. And I'm like, all right, tell me how. And he told me how. We're going to start beaming rays of pink light, white light, and golden light mixed with white into the grid that holds people in a pattern of hating everybody else for not being exactly like them, you know, in that specific religion. So there's a lot of overlays on the planet that we disbanded, removed, broke up. And then when it was over, we created a grid over it. We replaced it with a Christ consciousness for everybody grid. And then I worked on another grid, the healing grid that's around the whole planet. So anytime you ask or pray for healing or say, I need healing, it comes up from the ground up, and it enters your body wherever you need it to. So it could come directly into your feet, or it could come all the way up your body and then enter through your head and go down. It depends on where you need it. And that's a pink grid. It's like a really beautiful pink grid. I love it. It's like an electric pink, very pale electric pink. So what we do is we build grids of positive energy, or we'll add energy to positive grids that already are in existence. So not all grid workers build or break down. Some grid workers just add the energy to it. So if you're a Reiki worker and you didn't know anything about it, just start adding that Reiki. You know, maybe do it for an hour a day. I do it 24 hours a day for the past several years, but I built up to it. But if you're brand new, just focus on just putting your hands over the earth and just focus on your Reiki going directly into that grid. Now, instead of healing one person at a time, you can heal thousands, even if you do it for an hour or 20 minutes even. So, besides breaking up the negative patterns and old grids and adding energy to the new grids and building the positive, we also just put the light into the grids. So after the grids are built, we just add the light to that. There's a crystalline grid. There's a heart grid that connects all of our hearts together, unifies us. There's like a unity grid. There is a grid of one, the law of one, that we've disbanded the duality already, and now there's the law of one grid. Tap into that. You're going to see and feel and know on every level that you're connected to everybody at once, that we are the same. In Locketch, I am another you. So the next kind of grid is a portal light worker grid. These are people that hold the light. They walk with pillars of lights coming out of their feet at every step, or they just hold light inside their body. They might not even be aware. You might be doing it right now and you don't know it. If you have gotten a lot more extra water weight lately, yeah, that's probably you. Keepers of the vortex. You're keepers of the life stream. You might be an earth angel. You might be an angel incarnate, or a person who decided to be an earth angel. People walk into your presence, automatically feel happy and don't know why. It's because you are literally like a pillar of light, standing strong, and you're always positive and joy-filled. You might not even do anything in your outer world that symbolizes you being a light worker, but you know, like you might not hang a shingle and say you're a doctor or a healer, but you might still be a portal light worker. Also, we have the energy workers who direct and use and work with various energy forms, frequencies, light energy, chi, prana, and you direct these higher vibrations specifically to another person or place or thing to release energy and to transform the energy through your energy. But you're not actually transforming it yourself. You're just putting the energy out there, and the energy does what it does. 5. 5 is artists, musicians, writers, comedians, inspirational creators. I call these the creator light workers, or the creatives. Dancers, writers, anyone who uplifts humanity with the sole purpose of uplifting humanity through their craft or art. I already had a huge discussion about that, so we're going to move on. The next one is channelers. People who can telepath with things the rest of us don't see. I don't see them, but I channel them. I feel them. I see them in my mind's eye, not with my physical eyes. I know people who can see dragons. They can see spirits like they're sitting right in front of them, solid. I know people that have such intense psychic ability that just blows my mind. I'm psychic, but I don't see physical with my eyes. I see it in my mind's eye only. But channelers are people who give us messages from ETs, angels, deceased, like spiritual masters, elementals, communication, Fey realm communication. These are the communicators with the unseen. Masters, they channeled masters, deities. You know, I channeled Robin Williams sometimes. He's a good friend of mine since he's dead. We didn't know each other in life, but we knew each other in heaven, and now we know each other again, now that he's back. He and I talk once in a while. When I was really depressed, he laid in my bed next to me telling me jokes until I fell asleep every night for like 2 or 3 months. He's truly a light worker, and he continues to help humanity from beyond the grave. Transformers. Transformers, more than meets the eye. I hear that song every stinking time I hear the word transformer. Transformer blew up. Oh, really? But it was more than meets the eye. A transformer is also the same thing as in the other list. They say transmuter, and it's the same thing. Basically, not all transmuters are empaths, but all empaths, well, I think for the most part, are transformers of energy. A transmuter or transformer is somebody who will literally transform energy that's negative into positive. They will bust up and take down all the patterns in their DNA, all the patterns in their ancestry lines. They will take responsibility for all the negative crap, all the patterns that went before, and they will transform it into something positive. The buck stops here, folks. I'm the transformer. Transformer. Doesn't really quite have the same ring when you say it like that, so forget that. Okay. But the transformer, so like empaths are magnets for negativity, and they don't realize, and that's why they hate going in crowds. And a lot of empaths are very introverted. Or they go out in the crowd, they come home, they're crying their heart out. That used to be me until I realized what's going on. I learned how to protect myself, and now I know exactly what's going on. You know, I will feel someone's negativity or their anxiety. I'll pull it into my heart, and I'll feel crappy for 5 or 10 minutes, sometimes for a day, before I go, oh, duh, is this for me or no? Usually it's not from me. It has nothing to do with me, but it came to me because I'm like a magnet for this crap. I'm a crap magnet, but because I need to transform it into positivity and put it back out in the world. Now that I know that that's my job, I keep doing that all the time. I'm like a greater amount of these. I'm a really freaking old soul. I'm looking at this just going, I'm so old. Okay, I look great, but I mean, my soul's got wrinkles. My face doesn't, but my soul does. Just kidding. Your soul can never have wrinkles. But empaths are like a vacuum cleaner. They suck out all the dirt in society, and they spit it back out, turn it into gold, or I wish it was actual gold, but energetically or metaphorically speaking, we turn that back into gold or diamonds or crystals, and just put that positivity back out in the world. And it lightens the mood everywhere we go. Basically, that's what empaths do. But transformers, transmuters, they do that. They may or may not be empathic to other people's emotions. And there's many different kinds of empaths, not just that. But that was an example. They're like a clearinghouse. They clear. They're clear. Make all the ways clear. DNA activators. These are people that, whether they know it or not, they're going to activate your DNA. They're going to activate it with their words, with their presence, with their performance, whatever it is. I don't know if you guys remember who Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan was, God rest his soul, but I went with a group of atheists. One of them was an agnostic. He said, I don't know if it's true or not. I might say have my last rites said at the end just in case. His dad was Catholic, and that's what his dad said. His dad's like, oh, I'm an atheist, but just to hedge my bets, I'm going to have my last rites read. But I went with a group of people that didn't believe in God. And at the end of Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan's performance, they were all in tears and humbled literally before the Lord. And I think 3 out of the 4 people looked at me and said, I think I might have found God in his voice. That is a DNA activator. He transforms people with his song. And from Beyond the Grave, you could just go YouTube and download, or not download, but listen to one of his songs. Even on iTunes, you could download. Mastika Lander is one of his songs. I love it so much. It's just, you start singing it. It's in Urdu. You don't understand it maybe, but it's just phenomenal. The guy is just, he was a master. He was a spiritual master. And I met him in person. He blessed me. He held my hand. He looked directly into my eyes. And he said, God bless you. And he smiled, and I hugged him. And I saw his wife, and I hugged her, and I hugged his cousin, and I just got to be friends with all the guys. But at this little tiny club in Los Angeles, he did this show, and I stood directly in front of the stage, and afterwards I was given a backstage pass by my friend who worked there. And, Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan, he's a DNA activator. He made me feel like I deserved to believe in myself when he looked into my eyes. He activated me in a way that gave me a spiritual confidence that I didn't have minutes before. It's like he turned on those codons right inside me and just transformed my vision for my life in that moment. I'm really grateful to God that I got that moment. But I've had people that write me and say that I'm a DNA activator, that I turn on something in their DNA and they're transformed, and the next day they're inspired to take action. And that's what a DNA activator does. I don't know that I am. I may be, though. I might be for some people. I know for a fact Lisa Transcendence Brown, she's a DNA activator. She activates me every time. I'll be listening to her and I just fall flat asleep and I have to go back and listen to it again. Because I know that whatever it is that she said or did, boy, I feel better. I feel more bliss and more peace than I did 10 minutes ago. And then it kind of sticks with me and stays there after I listen to her. Ralph Smart, I think he's a DNA activator. Victor Odo, very much could be. Amber White, she's activated a few things in me. She's definitely one too. All these people are on YouTube. You could go look on YouTube. So there's the psychedelic explorers. I'm one of these too. Psychedelic explorers are people that sometimes they'll become teachers, but they will learn about what is the real reality behind the fake reality we look at every day. The last time I dropped acid, I went to the 9th dimension, and the people who created color for this world showed me how they did it. I mean, once you learn. My oldest son, he's been taking acid every week now, and I'm like, don't be doing drugs every day. It's like a shaman thing. And he's like, but Mom, they showed me how the Matrix was built. And he saw everything that I saw and more. He's seen more than me now. And he's like, you have to understand, Mom, we are in a matrix. This is a made up system. This schematic. It's a schematic, Mom. I'm like, yeah, I know. That's what psychedelic explorers, people that take mushrooms, ayahuasca, anything psychedelic, DMT. I think EMDR do it a little bit, but maybe not to the same extent. But like acid for sure, LSD helps you. I mean, don't ever overdose on the stuff. Take the smallest dose possible, and always have a guide with you. Don't do it alone. But yeah, psychedelic explorers, it's not for the faint of heart. Ayahuasca can kill you. I know someone who used to take people out to the jungle, and 2 people have died. He saw a really young, healthy girl who was like hiking around all the time. She's really strong physically. She took it and died like immediately. He was like totally shocked. He was like, yeah, I pretty much stopped after that. I don't want to be charged with murder, giving people something that they chose to take, and then they die. It's like creepy. It's creepy. He saw a woman go psychotic and just totally went nuts. Became mentally ill and never came back. I never came back from that. So ayahuasca can be really crazy dangerous. San Pedro isn't as dangerous. It's a plant that's related to mescaline, and I think I've got a pound of it in my closet right now. Somebody handed it to me in Peru, and I just crossed the border with it. It's legal here. It's not illegal at all. It's very illegal in the U.S. But like peyote, I have worked with the spirit of peyote without taking it. He came to me and gave me an experience. So when you're a shaman, sometimes you will gravitate towards the plants, the psychoactive plants. If you work with the plants, and they will teach you things that you didn't know before. The red mushrooms with the white spots, death cap, that will definitely kill you. I took them in Bogota, and they taught me some stuff. You got to work with them in the correct way. Don't ever just go out and take random stuff, though. Random stuff will kill you. Don't do that. It's not for the faint of heart, and it's not for the uninitiated or the uninformed, and especially not for you if your higher self did not tell you to do it. So I don't recommend going out and doing it and going, ooh, I'm a light worker, I took mushrooms. Not everyone who does psychedelics are light workers, and not all light workers take psychedelics, but there are a small percentage of us that explore so that we can report back to the rest of humanity what is the real reality behind what it is that we see. Sometimes we're here to teach, sometimes we're here just to learn, sometimes for both for that. Now, sacred knowledge holders are people that will learn everything there is to know from their ancestry and their tribe, or people who will learn from mystery schools, whether it's, Builders of the Addendum or Self-Realization Fellowship or Brotherhood of the White Temple, and those are the 3 I know. The Rosicrucians. Actually, the Rosicrucians, that's another mystery school. Order of the Golden Dawn, I think, was for a while a mystery school. You might still be able to get that information. But you might just study alchemy or sacred geometry from other sources. You could go way back to the mystics. Abra Melin the Mage, connect with him, he'll probably teach you some stuff. Nostradamus, he knew quite a bit. Merlin, he knows a lot. There's a lot of people that you could, if you can tap into people, they'll help you. And they'll guide you even if you can't hear them and you're not a telepath. Just ask them out loud and they'll bring you to that. But the sacred knowledge holders are people that know the Kabbalah, or they know the tarot, the real meanings behind the tarot, or they'll have an initiation and they'll know Kriya Yoga. They'll know whatever the path is, Royal Road, the Royal Road Yoga, or they might have all this secrets and mystical stuff to do with Kung Fu and Buddhism. It could be anything. But they're people who gather a lot of information. They educate themselves and they can't stop. And for decades, that's all they do is learn. And again, just like the psychedelic light workers, they will either teach or just hold the knowledge for humanity. They may or may not share it. But having that knowledge exudes through them and makes other people want to learn. It's like the energy, and it becomes, kind of like a secondary high, That's not just only for marijuana. That's for other things as well. Oh, by the way, marijuana also goes into that psychedelic explorer category. I mean, if you smoke it and you connect with the goddess of the plant, and you do it specifically to honor God and the God within and to explore yourself spiritually, then it becomes a sacred plant and it becomes a sacred sacrament. And Church of the Northern Lights, ask them about it. Then we have the way showers. The way showers are the people who they went ahead of us, and they're telling us now about the ascension and the fifth dimension. And there are people that did this before now, such as Jesus, other saints and masters, other guides. The way showers are the ones that are showing us the way, basically, to our own saviorhood. We have to save ourselves now. So that we're going up to the fifth dimension. We're up there, yeah. So meditators are number 12, and I went over a lot in my meditation episode a few days ago. People that hold a deep connection to God and to the world, or to nature, just through mindfulness or through meditation. Those are light workers. Timeline workers, timeline warriors, are people who can go consciously into the past or the future, or hop timelines, or even collapse timelines. Apparently not everyone can do that. I collapsed about 7 different timelines. And I thought everyone was supposed to do that. And then I found out that hardly anyone knows about that, let alone can do that. I'm all, oh, oops. I thought that everyone could do that. Apparently not. But you could be a timeline worker if you are consciously aware of the Mandela effect in your life, and you're consciously aware of timeline hopping and timeline moving. I'm learning how to work with energies to put objects forward in time and backwards in time and see what happens. I'm just opening up to this now. It's brand new for me. But people who can consciously channel along timelines, they could see the future along several different timelines based on what a person will choose, and they can help you with that, yeah, or for themselves or for others. People that just have a connection to the future, and I taught you guys in my timeline episode how to consciously do it, so you can learn to be a timeline worker. And light worker in that way. So the 14th one is manifestors, the people who, and this is on the original 2 lists, people who can teach us the law of attraction. Sandra Byrne, boom, boom, boom. She's a really good one. Joe Vitale, oh, he is just hot shit when it comes to this. Manifesting, oh my God, he's a great manifester. Jim Carrey, I mentioned him earlier. He is a good one. Another one is, oh God, I know. He actually kissed me on the lips when I met him. Woody Harrelson. Oh, that's a story for later, but Woody Harrelson, he is a light worker because he lived in a bathroom. He slept on the bathroom floor at UCLA. At night, he would sneak in and he would sleep there until he made it as an actor. He was in a bad way, but he knew it. He knew he was going to be famous. And he is. He became famous. He is a master at manifesting. That's another one. Robert Allen. He's a light worker, but he was kind of a jerk in the beginning and had a big car accident and had an awakening spiritually. But he said, you could put me down with, I think he said, give me $10 and a cell phone, I think is what he said, and put me anywhere in the whole wide world, and I will make a real estate deal to get out of it and come home. Don't even get me a hotel, and he did it again and again and again in many different cities. He is a master manifester. T. Harv Eker, master manifester. Laurel Langmeyer, I met both of these people too, by the way. They're amazing people. Yeah, she's a master manifester. She was working on oil rigs. She got pregnant. She went, holy shit, I want to be a millionaire. If I am not a millionaire, by the time this baby is born, I will feel like a loser. And in 8 months, she made her first $1 million. Just like that. She became a stone cold hustler while pregnant. I mean, talk about light warrior, master manifester, law of attraction. Now she spends her whole life teaching people how to do exactly what she did. That woman she's one of my heroes. I love her so much. They learn how to become manifestors, they understand how, and they are creators, and then they help us. Sometimes they just help the people around them, their inner circle. Sometimes they help the whole world. 15, Earth Guardians, literally caretakers of plants, property, and animals, crystals, other humans, relics, museum, history, archaeologist, anthropologist, all the way to zookeepers. Anyone who is like a museum curator. These are guardians. If they did this to serve humanity and or a higher power, they're light workers doing this. Seers, psychics that can see the future, people that can see a new path or a different way, and they help others in the way in which they could see other people's futures. Sometimes they can see their past and show where their thinking went wrong. They are people that can see patterns that need to be addressed. Miracle makers, the true saints. These are very rare light workers. Jesus, Yeshua, he was a miracle maker. True alchemists, magicians, sorcerers, hereditary witches, Moses parted the Red Sea, that's an example. People who can control the weather, people who can see the world for the illusion it is and help us to see it beyond it through their miracles. 18 are the counselors of the world, the life coaches, the listeners. Counselors could be accountability coaches or straight up psychologists. If they came here to serve humanity and help others truly and bring them to the light, a lighter version of themselves, that's a light worker. Life coaches especially. Spiritual life coaches, manifesting life coaches, all of them. Cheerleaders, it's one of my favorite ones. They call you to your action. They excite you, inspire you, and they're positive, and their energy is contagious, and they just make you feel like you want to go, rah, 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 I love my life. That's a cheerleader, baby. A telepath is somebody who has communication through telepathy, and they can help you with other humans in a coma or with animals. Telepaths can help you. Now a channeler are also telepaths, but telepaths that channel things that are living in front of you that you can see. A telepath can channel with a tree or maybe even a rock, maybe even with your coffee pot. They could talk to Jasmine. She's my coffee pot. A telepath is a light worker. And finally, we have the inventors, the innovators for all of humanity, the people who have invented things like Orgonite, Wilhelm Reich, Royal Rife with the Rife frequency generator, scientists who have invented microscopes and invented medicine for humanity, and people who have invented the self-driving cars and the electric cars and things that are helping us get off of oil and stop polluting the environment. Inventors are those inventors and scientists that came to change the world. Those are light workers too. So there you have it. It's a huge list. It's a huge, huge list. But I wanted to include everyone, not just, the 11 that people keep passing around the internet. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I'm running out of time. I love each and every one of you. metaphysicalsoulspeak@gmail.com. If you have any questions, comments, or ideas for upcoming future episodes. Also, anchor.fm/metaphysical. If you want to send me a voice message you want me to play on the air. I love you all. Right now, I'm signing off with peace and joy and lightworker high vibes of the holy fifth dimension. Until next time, guys, be at peace. Metaphysical Soul Speak is run on sponsors and listener support. This means listeners like you. If you are so inclined to support my efforts and my little podcast, please visit me at anchor.fm/metaphysical and pledge an amount of your choosing today. Thank you.